Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of P.I.P, People in Property, with myself Adil Niazi at Key Property Consultants. Today I have a double whammy, two guests in one. We've got Andre and Conor from ARC London Property, who will be discussing their journey, how they got into property and all about what they do. How are you guys?
Very well.
Good, thank you for coming down. That was in sync there. We're going to have a flowing conversation today, I can feel it. Right, so boys, obviously you've come down today to discuss your journey. But before we get into about your company and what you do, tell me a little bit about your history, your past, and sort of what you did before you sort of got into property.
Yeah, so my name's Andre. Before property, I used to work in insurance as an insurance broker in Croydon. After that, which I did pretty well in. I didn't really like it that much because I don't really like having a boss. I don't really like someone telling me what to do. I'm sure Conor before me as well. After that, I then did a season in Magaluf.
Okay.
Selling tickets, which was really, really good.
You kept the tan then.
You know what? I've got this thing where I tell loads of girls that I went on holiday when I was 4 and they came back this couple. Trust me, so many of them actually believed it. It's mad.
Not very intelligent women out there.
Mad for the real time. So yeah, we did a season. I did a season over there. Really enjoyed myself. Sold quite a lot of tickets. Worked off all of it, just off commission. So I didn't sell anything. I didn't make any money.
Okay.
At that point, I think I knew that I wanted to do sales slightly different to the way that everyone else was doing, like sales or selling. Everyone was selling on the street. I was selling tickets on the street and forcing people to buy things. I then found a way that I didn't have to force people to buy things, and then I can sell multiple events but to one person, so that person could then choose what it was that they wanted to do, as opposed to me trying to get them to do what I want.
Nice.
Which worked out really well. Made quite a bit of money. Then we came back. We was meant to be going back to do another season. At that point, we always knew that we wanted to go back, make money, and then come back and save it, and then put it into property.
Yeah.
COVID happened, so then we couldn't go back. Then I started a clothes page on Instagram where I sold like designer clothes. Really went really well.
So you were sourcing the designer clothes in the
Yeah, so it was like drop shipping.
Okay, nice.
So I never ever had to buy any stock. I literally bought the item as the customer bought off me, and then shipped it directly to that customer. So I didn't really do much.
So middleman in the clothing. Nice.
Yeah, middleman in the clothing, which really worked really well for me. And then then the account got closed for some reason. I got action blocked too many times. So I followed too many people, and then they closed the account, couldn't get it back. So I said, all right, that's it. This is the end of the journey. I can't really cry about it. Opportunity arose for us to take over a property company which had 10 existing properties.
Right.
It was one of our best friend, our other partner, Rahul. His dad was going to be closing down the company.
Right.
And he said, do you want to take it over? I said, yep, brilliant. And then we jumped into it. Didn't really know anything about it.
Right.
And then, yeah.
That's where we're right, but we're getting further to that. Let's see a little bit about Conor.
So I'm Conor, obviously worked for ARC London Properties as well. So I started in sales. So I was a senior account manager for an environmental company.
Okay.
Started there when I was 19. Just loved sales. I was like, this is my thing. I enjoyed it. I liked making money. I liked like the whole process of selling, and then the account management of it after.
Nice.
So like actually making the sales relatively easy, but like building a rapport with a client is a lot harder, because for them to continuously come back is obviously where the money is, because if they spend £1,000 with you day one and they don't spend with you again, you've only made £1,000 and
You've got to start from scratch to get a new client.
Correct. So then I learned, if you like mold the client and you actually build rapport with them, then you can actually grow something into a lot bigger. So then I did that for 2.5 years, went to a senior account manager role, was looking after like some of the biggest contracts in England. Then went to Maga. I was like, I want to join myself. Okay, because I booked my flight, and then Andre was like, yes, we're doing this.
Yeah.
So then I flew out there on the 1st of May. Andre lost his passport, so he couldn't come out there with me.
Oh no.
Yeah. On the day, they literally got outside my house, and then
looking for it.
I was like, oh, I don't have it, boys.
A bit last minute.
Proper last minute. So then I flew out there. Obviously, I worked for a company out there, because I've always like worked in a corporate role. I've always had a boss. Okay. I quite enjoy that because I can bounce off a boss. and I can learn new ideas.
Right.
So I started working for a company up there, made okay money.
Yeah.
I was making probably like 100, 150 pound a day, which was okay.
Decent.
Yeah.
And you're in a nice sunny country.
And we're in a nice sunny country.
It allows you to live the way that other people are living.
Yeah, that's it.
We got to go to all the parties for free. So like, I'm in Magaluf, I'm what, 21. What very good life. And then me and Andre lived together. So then there was one night I was out from like 9 o'clock in the morning to like 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, wow.
So I was working like a shift, and then Andre's come home and he's like, I'm going out to work. I'm like, it's 8 o'clock, where you going?
Yeah.
He was like, I've got a different way of studying. I was like, cool, whatever. Get home at 12 o'clock, and then we start counting our money together.
Yeah.
There's my 150, look at me. Man.
Yeah.
He comes home £1,000 on the table. I was like, you've been working for 4 hours. What have you done? What have you done? 100%. That day, I called the boss and I was like, look, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I started working with Andre.
Yeah.
Then...
But it sounds a bit like Wolf of Wall Street when he said, show me, you done it. I'll prove it up now. He's like, here, here's the thing.
I'll quit with something like that. Then obviously went back to my job after Mago, and then I did like it. I didn't have my time freedom anymore.
Yeah.
I want my time freedom back.
Yeah.
Then we obviously got the opportunity of opening the office, but then I was looking on my camera roll this morning. On the 28th of January 2020, we went to like one of them something Leeds courses.
Okay.
Where you pay £1 and you go to experience it.
Yeah.
2 years later, I'd found this out today. 2 years later, we started the business of Lock London. So on the 28th.
On the same day.
Same day.
Yeah, 2022.
Shows persistence though, isn't it? So you obviously had its plant seeded in your mind already. You had the experience of the selling middleman in it, which is obviously essentially what you're doing now, selling middleman in.
Yeah.
And then you sort of grew from there and boom, it just all planted it together.
Partnered together, and then that's it. We've just like taken the business from where it was from 10 properties to 135 mil.
Brilliant. So obviously, let's go back to the beginning of your property journey. So you mentioned something about taking on your friend's dad's business. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was he doing initially with that company?
So he was doing something similar, although he was working with the private market.
Okay.
Doing rent to rent, didn't own anything. So at that point, we kind of got thrown into the deep end, really, and which was a really good thing for us because we knew nothing about property.
Yeah.
And we knew a little bit because obviously we've been to a few of these free courses, but you only get told really enough
The basics.
so that you buy onto the next course.
Yeah.
So from that, we kind of had to learn how to deal with these landlords and how to deal with the business in general. Like we wasn't just taking over like landlords, we was taking over the business. So we kind of had to learn how to run both and be able to function both sides effectively. So yeah, like
I mean, in fairness, you had the relationship side on lock already.
Yeah, relationships.
You already build a relationship when you're doing sales for the tickets or account managing, all that kind of stuff. So relationships you've got locked down already.
Yeah.
So it's more so maybe doing the cash flow element of things, running the property side of things, and learning on the job for
The client
And about property as well. Like we don't know what we're looking at when we go into a house. Like at the start, like we don't know what this crack could be, this could be, that could be.
5 of us used to go to the uni.
Yeah, 5 of us going round. I remember this one time in COVID, I went to this house in Hastings, and like there was like 5 of us. I don't have a clue why, but we went into this house. We went in with masks, and then all of these tenants just come out of their room, start shouting at us, and we basically had to like run out of the house and just drive away. Although we was allowed to be there, because the landlord said we could go there. It was like
it'd be intimidating there, man, for you as well.
my third viewing, and I just got chased out. I didn't know what to expect from the next one.
Bad with it, mate. And you're the master as well. And
So after that moment, I was a bit like skeptical to go into another house, and then after I went in it, I was like, oh, fair play, this one's empty.
Yeah,
no one in it. No one can get me. So yes,
I think one of the main things that we had to learn was like the relationship side's all good. So tenant and landlord is perfect. But because of the old business that they were working on, the laws wasn't the same now than it was back then.
changes.
EPCs weren't in place, EICRs weren't in place, gas certs weren't in place. Like they didn't have anti-money laundering. And we come in and like we've been to these courses and they say you have to have this stuff, and we're like, what's going on? It's like,
And you don't have it. You got to go back and start doing it all.
So we have to go back. We have to like make sure everything's up to date. We have to just like create different accounts within the bank account.
Yeah.
So then
Client accounts and stuff.
client account, on this account. So then once we learn that, we're like, okay, cool. Like, we've got foundation which is relatively stable.
Yeah.
How do we grow this?
Okay.
And that's how we start.
Now, when you said he was doing something different, was he doing service accommodation? What was his business?
So his main model was private renting.
Okay, so he would literally rent it off from a landlord or an agent, and then go rent it privately to.
Yeah. But with that, it's sort of lower profit margins. So you
Correct.
can't really make.
No,
There's only so much that you can make.
because people that are in the private market know what a private rental market is, you know.
Exactly. So like that was one of our problems at the start. We was getting pushed out by a lot of other agents because we wasn't doing anything different.
No.
So then we kind of thought to ourselves, like, why are we? And one of their ex-partners used to do this model in the council, and we always knew about it. And we was like this lady, she always outbids us. On
Local authority stuff, yeah?
Yeah. So she always outbidded us on stuff. And we was like, what is it that she's doing? How can she offer more money than what we're offering?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. We thought at that point we did the same thing.
Yeah.
And then we kind of did some digging, spoke to quite a lot of people, and then we found out what it was. And then we was then able to transition things. And then, which was actually, to be fair, it was quite a long time in. Yeah, it was only until like 8 months ago. Yeah. So like throughout that
obviously, if you don't know, you don't know yet. That's something that you don't know that day. And did you have to pay for the business to buy it, or did he sort of hand it over to you?
He has a share.
He has a share, so he continued to share up, and then you carried on to grow it. So that's not too bad. Things you don't have to outlay anything out of your pocket. Maybe he sort of wanted to take a back seat, sort of semi-retired type thing, and he sort of got your foot through the door, which essentially might have been a bit of a blessing in disguise, because obviously when you do go into property, and your company's brand spanking new, a lot of people don't want to do. They're like, let's see your accounts, let's see this. And they're like, well, we don't have anything.
6 months deposit down, 6 months rent up front.
And then your profit margins and your cash flow just goes down and dwindles until you can build it back up again. So what did you guys implement differently to the model that he was doing? So what's the model that you do now, basically?
So we do social housing.
Social housing, yeah.
Social housing, we've got a small element of our business with serviced accommodation.
Okay.
And then we also work with like supported living companies.
Nice.
So like we have like 4 different models. So we have a private market, which is slowly getting smaller and smaller.
Yep.
We transition it over.
Yep.
We've got social housing, which is like working with local authorities, working with the Home Office. We've got serviced accommodation.
Yep.
And then we've got supported living.
Perfect. And what do you guys prefer? Which route do you prefer? Obviously, because it can come down to money, it could be down to deal with clients, it could be...
You know what?
There's several different...
I feel like they all come with their own little pros and cons.
Yeah.
Like, working with temporary accommodation, great. Like, we invoice, we're in control of the money. The tenants, sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're good. Like, it's very... Well, we haven't really had many cases of bad.
It's like 95%.
Yeah, it's 95%.
Yeah, and then you get a handful of people that...
And you get a handful of clients that are difficult. Supported living, they take all of the responsibility for us.
Yeah.
So like with temporary accommodation, we still have to deal with the maintenance. We still have to deal with the day-to-day management of that property and that tenant, which in hand costs us money because of our time's going into it, and we're paying for maintenance,
like cleaners and any damages that occur.
Yeah. And then supported living, we basically sublease building to the.
So you might take on a 4-bed at $2,000 and then go to the supported living company and say that I'm going to give this to you at $3,000, for example, and then you make the difference and your hands off.
Yeah.
Okay,
but their model is you have to be very hands-on. Like if a problem happens, although they look after the lease, they go crazy about it and they're in control of the money. So if they turn around and say, we're not paying you rent, like,
you could be in a pickle. And is that because you guys are responsible for the maintenance of the building still?
No, just sometimes they just don't read the contract.
Okay.
And like, that's one of the things we've learned recently, that we, like, even though, we send over a contract to them, and it's their responsibility to read through it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're signing something, you probably read through it before you sign it. But I don't know why some of these people, they just don't read through it. So now, we're like, going forward, we've learned, why don't we outline what it is that their responsibilities are in some sort of clear format.
Yeah.
And not in a contract format, so that we don't have these problems, because it's causing us issues when, like, we're guaranteeing rent for like $5,000 and they're not paying us, and our cash flow gets affected, and then we're having squabbles about maintenance that in the contract says that they're liable to be responsible for.
And they're trying to push the buck onto you. Yeah, that's not very fair, is it? Obviously, and it comes out to, again, them not reading what they're supposed to do. Yeah. But then that also affects the relationship that you have with them, because at the end of the day, if they're not going to be delivering on a service that they said they're going to deliver, you're not going to want to go and give them another property. And it's not like these companies are few and far between. They're starting to become loads and loads.
Yeah, loads of them.
So it's going to affect the relationship, and the relationship is key. No, cool. As you guys know, having to build relationship with agents, landlords, and even the tenants on the service and relation side, because some of them can become repeat tenants as well. So yeah, definitely. So what would you say has been the biggest struggle for you guys in this journey?
I think cash flow.
Cash flow?
Yeah, I think cash flow is the main thing, because we've always reinvested the money.
Yeah.
At the beginning, we never looked at our numbers. We were like, okay, I have 10K in the bank. Yeah. We can take on 5 properties. Fantastic. Right. But we didn't project, okay, at the end of the month, we have to pay out $8,000. Yeah. So realistically, we only had $2,000. Yeah. So we constantly just reinvested. Yep. And then never actually had like a like a bulk fund there.
Okay.
So that's what we've learned recently. So we've had to like pull back for the last like 3 months. We haven't took on as much as we was taking on.
Yep.
Just to build up the funds.
Yep.
Now we've got a fund, we can go, cool, we're going to hit it again.
That's it.
We've taken on 8 this month.
Brilliant.
So thank you. We're hitting it hard this month because now we know
You have the cash flow.
we have the cash flow and we can project where the money's going. So that's like one of our struggles was cash flow.
Cash flow. Okay, brilliant. So obviously learning from that, you've obviously moved forward. You're going to grow the company.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of to do with like you guys haven't. All right, you've been sort of like self-employed in the sense of like selling tickets and stuff like that. But obviously having a business is completely different.
Different.
Because you've got a product, you're selling that product. Yeah. Now with your business now is you've got not a liability because you're generating money from it, but the rent essentially is a bit of a liability. So you know that you've got to pay that and not whatever happens. So if you can't go and take it on to the 15 properties, if you know that you've only got rent to pay 5 of them, if the money doesn't come in.
And we get paid in arrears. So at one point, like when we first started working the council, we got overexcited.
Yeah.
We took on like 15 properties in a month, and we've been paid in arrears for all of them, but we pay up front.
4 weeks, right? 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm also 6.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. So essentially, we paid for 15 properties twice.
Until you got paid.
Until we got paid, and we didn't know it at the time. We was like, oh yeah, this is going to be brilliant. Like,
How did you overcome that? Did you have someone come in to invest, or did you basically say to some landlords, "Look, guys, we're having a bit of a blip"?
No, we never actually went to land with something.
no, we did sell some. We did sell some. We just said, I think it was like 3 or 4 of them that we said, because there was...
Yes.
There's 3 or 4 that we said, look, this is the situation we're in. We kind of did make a mistake, and we are completely sorry, and we'll ensure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
But I hope you can understand, but is it possible to be able to pay you on this date as opposed to now?
Yeah.
And some of them said, yeah, brilliant. You know what? We want to help you out. Like, you guys are young. Like, you've learned from your mistake as long as it doesn't...
And you're being transparent.
And being transparent about it.
Sometimes that's all it takes, though, having the conversation. Like, if you're just keeping it under your hat and then you don't pay it, and then they're calling, and you're like, I'm not going to answer the phone. I don't have the money. You just got to have the call.
No one likes to have that conversation. No. It's not a nice conversation to have with anyone. But if you have to have it, then you have to have it.
Definitely.
There's one landlord that literally goes berserk at us. Rocky, if he's watching this, he will go mad. Every time they answer his phone, he goes crazy. He's like, just answer your phone. Like, because it could be, you could be in a meeting or in a podcast. Rocky, if you're watching, mate,
we'll send it to it. Like, that's one of the things. Like, being transparent with people, and even no matter what the problem is, so, like, people are the same as you. Like, landlords, tenants, or whatever it is. Like, they are the same as you, so that their pain points and their struggles are the same as your struggles. So if you just go to them with an open mind about the situation that you're going to go to them with, then it's fine, and they'll understand a lot.
Yeah. Have you had any other struggles that you faced apart from the cash flow issue?
So we had a tenant that posed to be a supported living company.
Okay.
We did all the checks; they all checked out. We rented the property to them, and then.
They rented
it out again or something like that.
So you sublet it to them, then they sublet it to someone else.
Yeah. And then for some reason I went into the property. I can't remember what the reason was, but I went there. I maybe had to go do something there or something like that. And then when I got there, I couldn't get in because the locks had been checked. So I said, oh, what's going on here? Yeah. So then I couldn't look through the keyhole because there was something on the other side. So that I couldn't look through.
It was coming on.
Yeah. Then all the blinds, like they had like all these reflective. Have you ever seen them? They look like metal.
Yeah,
and they've got one there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, then at this point, I still don't know what it is because I've never come in through this before.
No. I thought we've seen 2 of those. So
and then like for whatever reason, like, I left it. I went back and I was like, look, I don't even want to get involved right now. I had something else to do in the afternoon, so I went back. Then the next day, the client called me and said, oh, the police were at the house. Like, we found out that this had been turned into a grow house.
Cannabis farm, basically, yeah?
Yeah, cannabis farm.
Mate.
And I'm like, oh my God. Bear in mind, like, I'm setting up a HMO at this point, and he's on holiday, and so is my other partner, Rahul. So I've got 5 tenants moving in to the property that I'm setting up. Yeah. But then I have this lady on the phone telling me this. Yeah. And I'm like to myself, like, what on earth do I do? I can't actually be in 2 places at one time. No. And like, luckily, like, I'm really close with Chris and Jake from Smart Choice. I rang them and I was like, oh, boys, what do you reckon I should do? Like, this is the situation.
Is that who you sublet it?
No. So they helped us find the tenant.
Oh, okay.
They were moving a tenant in.
Yeah, they were moving a tenant in. Like, because we was in between tenants or something like that. And I rang him and I was like, oh, boys, I've never been in this situation before. Like, what do you think I should do?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, just be honest with them, just be honest. And then I called like this housing provider that we work with, who has like a home office contract, and I asked him the same. And he was like, look, Andre, you're not going to like what I'm going to tell you, but you need to do it. And I was like, okay. So he was like, you need to ring the landlord. And he was like, you need to tell them exactly what's happening. So he was like, they're going to find out at some point.
Definitely.
So then he was like, you may as well just tell them that.
Yeah.
He was like,
can't you want to hear from someone else.
yeah. And she's a police officer. So the landlord was a police officer. And I was like, oh my God, this couldn't be any worse.
No.
So...
No, to be fair, you know, saying that, when we've had two happen to us, unfortunately, across the 6-7 years that we've been open, right? And when it happened, and I had to go speak to the police, and I was like, look, here's are the references.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what, mate? It's like, you've done everything that you can do. These people are professional criminals.
Yeah.
They're basically, this is what they do for a living. So they know how to get through the loopholes, get all the references, and they've already done some sort of fraudulent ID thing, use somebody else to get the property, then they've paid them or whatever they've done, or done the fake documents. There's nothing you can do. So you just got to be transparent and tell them. And it's just a real shame. But the worst thing is, I don't know how bad your one was, but this place was trashed. Like,
it was pretty trash. We had to pay something like $2,000 to get it all sorted.
I made $2,000. The one that we had was like $35,000 job.
Really?
They had holes in the ceilings. They'd hacked away at some of the windows. They made new doorways.
That's what they do. They completely...
Holes in the ceilings, holes in the wall.
Because they redo the electrics and they tamper with all the electrics.
Crazy. The electric board, they made their own electric board out of MDF with like 30 different sockets on it.
Yeah, they got them little, they got them power sockets. Yeah,
Mate, it was mental. When I went to basically the neighbour end, there was like, oh, there's some unsavoury characters here, and we don't know what's going on. So I pulled up outside the property. I could see the door wide open. Anyway, so I got my phone and I'm filming from outside the drive, because I'm like thinking, oh my God, what's going on here?
Headlights.
Mate, literally, like exactly. And I thought, if anyone's still in there, I'm recording so I can catch what they're doing, and I'm going to run because I don't want to get killed or whatever. And I feel like that
I don't know what to expect.
Mate, I've literally gone there. I've started filming. I'm about to take step foot in there. I've put my phone in, and I can see on the camera, because obviously you can go at an angle, right? If there's like pipes and stuff. I literally looked straight back out, and I called the police, and I was like, I'm not going in there because I'm going to have my like think DNA. I was like, I'm not getting in. Once you think of 100 minutes, that's what go wrong. And it was like, all right, you call the police, 111, I think it was, or whatever it is, that number. I called them. They was like, look, you've got to wait there. They're going to come. But by the way, sent some people down. And then they put their gloves on, they've got in there. They was like, oh my God, mate, this is a big one. I was like, mate, I don't know, like, a little bit not excited, but like, they were like, and I was like, shit in my pants. I was like, what in the hell?
I deal with it every day, like, because I spoke to the landlord. She was like, Andre, like, what are you scared about? And I said to her, are you sitting down right now? This is exactly how it went. I was like, are you sitting down right?
Yeah.
She was like, no, why? And then I was like, oh, look, there's no easy way of me telling you this, but someone's turned the house into a grow house, into a cannabis farm. Like, I don't really know what to do. And then she was like, what are you asking me, as a landlord or as a friend, or a police officer? And I was like, bit of both, really.
Yeah, literally.
The situation before. So she was like, oh, Andre, it's completely fine. Like, these people, they do it every single time. Something similar to what they said to you. They're professionals at it. There's no way of being able to stop it. It's going to happen. So I was like, oh, fair enough. And they should just tell me what to do to be able to get it resolved.
Yeah.
But now, like, what we do, obviously, temporary accommodation is like, it's very... You can barely get any grow houses through temporary accommodation.
Yeah. Because it comes from a local authority, so they can't. And if they do it, you know exactly who it is, because they're coming through the local authorities. That's why it's a bit more safer as well, right?
And then the companies, like, we only really work with companies that we've been referred to, or like we know of them, and we've actually seen. So normally I say, oh yeah, can you show me some of your other houses? They'll show us. They're quite proud of it. So when you ask them, they're like, oh yeah, of course, no worries.
Definitely.
And that's just a little bit of, that's a few things that we do to get around.
And that's what like the audience can also do to be able to get around that as well. Like, that's something for everyone to take back. And say, do you know what? Like, this is how we may be able to overcome this sort of
scenario. Yeah. The reason why I was asking about the things that you've sort of come across that maybe have created stumbling blocks for you is because a lot of these people that do the courses and stuff, they say, oh, it's easy, anyone can do it. All right, look, a lot of people can do it, but there are things that you're going to come across that will sort of take you back. It doesn't mean you sort of throw the towel in, as they say, and like, stop doing what you're doing, because every job and every business has its trial and tribulations.
Every day has its problem.
Literally. So we've spoken about the bad stuff and the stuff that's maybe caused you a bit of a trouble along the way. Yeah. Tell me about the good stuff, the good times.
Okay, some good times. So we took on. So I met a developer quite early on.
Yeah.
I met him through like a referral word. Like, I was speaking to someone, she recommended me to him. She was like, oh, my husband's in property development. I was like, oh, perfect. Can I meet him? She was like, yeah, of course, no worries. He rang me that evening. I went round to his house and then we sat down and had a cup of coffee.
Nice.
He's now one of our biggest land. I've got 75 of his properties.
Brilliant. Yeah, so that is really good.
And
You need to keep him sweet, mate. So I'll order up.
no, they're big cash, no problem.
Very big.
And then he gave us four properties one day, and the contracts were starting all the same day. And because social housing is very quick,
Yeah.
like we got all the tenants straight away. So there was 3 flats in one block,
Rest.
a 4-bed, and it wasn't furnished. We had the tenants moving in 2 hours, and it was like, what are we gonna do? I look at Andre looks at me, I look at my partner, I'm like, that's what we're gonna do.
It was long. It was.
We called up.
At least there's 3 of you. So one. Why don't you take the beds? You take the wardrobes, whatever.
Bear in mind that the tenants called us and they've said they're on their way, and they're all sets of tenants called us and they're in the cab on the way. And we needed, I saw 20 beds or something like that. And it's 7 o'clock and the bed guy shuts at 5.
Oh,
And we were like, oh, bed, because we got like this guy, we got him on an account of him and he just dropped beds wherever. And we're like, oh, bloody hell, what are we actually going to do? Because we've got no beds and they're going to turn up and they're going to be fuming.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get it in the air from the council because we have a responsibility. And I've already told them that all the beds and boats. Really? Because I've got to do what you want to get done. You want to get paid from that. We want to get paid from that night, innit?
Yeah.
And so like we're like, oh fuck. So I had to ring the guy. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I had to ring the guy, and I basically had to beg him. I was like, oh look, mate.
I'll pay you extra, Andre. Mate, just get out here.
I was like, oh mate, please. Then he sent 3 trucks. 3 trucks, look.
We got like a bed on our bed. We didn't
Like, oh mate. And then the tenants came, and tenants, being tenants, they're all ungrateful anyway.
Oh yeah, I don't like this. I didn't want that. Then
I wasn't really good enough. And we're like laughing because we just went through all of it. They say this.
But from that, like we profit from them 3 properties like £1,500 a month.
brilliant.
So it was like, it was all
Good
worth
passion, though.
100%.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a £1,500 a month for 3-year contract.
Yeah,
Like that's
happy days.
Happy days. Yeah.
Lovely. Now we've done good times, we've done the bad times, done your journey. What is each of your roles before we wrap this up? Do you all do the same thing? What?
Yeah, we do something similar. We all do something similar, but we always like manage our own portfolio of properties, essentially. So I have my own landlords that I manage and manage the relationships of. Conor has his. He manages his own properties, and then we have a virtual assistant who deals with like all of the admin side of things, all the tenant-related stuff.
Yeah.
Rahul deals with property management and also the property management. I say I would head up like sort of the local authority, the temporary accommodation stuff.
Yeah.
Conor deals with the accounts.
social housing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we just like manage like, because where I was at an account management company before, like I found it really good that everyone has their own accounts because we can build better rapport with them.
Definitely.
So like Andre has a really good relationship with an estate agent.
Yeah.
And he always calls Andre. Andre is the first person that he speaks to. But if there's 2 of us, he's like, oh, which one do I call?
And they might think, oh, you know, it's a bit of a decision for them.
The decision's hard, but you give them a decision to choose one or the other.
That's it.
But if you have like one person, you have that one person to go to.
Makes sense.
So like we all do very similar things, and then we just all come together.
Yeah.
At like, so every Monday we all sit down and go through a meeting.
Yeah.
And go through all of the points that what we've worked on, what we can do better on,
Perfect.
and how to like improve the business and stuff.
That sounds good. So you're working well as a team. So although you have your own little individual property sort of management portfolio as such, or what your one team, then you also got your own strengths as like service accommodation, the property management, the local authority, the estate agent, that kind of stuff. So it's good because now you're working with your strengths. So the company, instead of sort of going one step at a time, it's sort of doing 3 steps at a time because you're all taking a step at a time. So not one person, but 3 of you. So you're doing 3 steps, and I'm assuming that's how you're going from 10 to 100 and 25, 135.
And
But I feel like it has its downfalls though. That I feel like the management, it depending on how you set up the company, depends on how it could be done. Because I feel like 3 people are doing kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So if 3 people are doing different things, then potentially you'd be able to do them things at a great level and be able to grow quicker. But I feel like in our case it's worked, but in other areas that
It might.
yeah.
no,
be done.
if we were to do it again, I'd probably go roles like then someone could be held accountable for what's going on. Yeah. So like although it worked really well for us, we were all like best friends growing up.
Yeah.
So like we've always done everything together. We went to festivals together. Like we've all been around each other's houses.
That's it.
We all know
The trust is there.
the trust is there. Like if you're going into partnership with a different person and you don't actually haven't worked with them or you don't know them that well, like roles and responsibilities are really key because the accountability side, if something goes wrong,
You'd be like, that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
fix it. or how can we help you fix it?
Definitely. Well, that's going to be the next stage, boys. We're obviously growing at a really rapid pace. You're going to have employees coming on board next, and they're going to take the responsibility. So you can say, guys, look, let's have our meeting. This is what you're responsible for.
Yeah.
Let's get cracking. What's going on? And then you guys can be out there building a network and bringing the properties on. So they can deal with the managing and that kind of stuff there.
And like acquisitions.
That's it. Exactly.
Because we're currently building the funnel at the moment. So we wrote down every role within the business.
Yep.
And like we've all allocated ourselves. So I think there was like 30 subheaders.
Sections, yeah.
And like he's taking 10, I've taken 10, Rahul's taken 10.
Perfect.
And like we've all wrote down a process of what has to happen. So when an employee comes on now, it's going to be like, there you go.
Two from each side, maybe, and then that's that.
And then it's nice and easy.
Guys, if you don't mind asking, what are your ages?
I'm 25.
25.
And Rahul's 25. 24.
Yeah,
Young one.
young one.
The reason I'm asking is because basically it goes to show, like, this day and age, a lot of people are like, oh, there's no opportunities out there, this kind of stuff, and there is. And you guys have sort of proven it yourselves. You come from work, being employed, sort of being semi-self-employed type thing, and you sort of headed up yourselves, and you're sort of driving and striving to do better with yourselves and better with your lives. So, guys, thank you very much for coming. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you with us.
And, guys, if you have tuned in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. These guys just showed you, 24 and 25 years old, or obviously 3 of them. There's 2 at 25. Anything is possible. You got to put your mind down, get going, get a plan together. And these guys are friends as well. So if you have the trust and the relationships there, we've seen when we've spoken about building relationships and building trust, anything is possible. Nothing is out of your reach. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.